Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Old and Bitter, episode number 2. We got John, Scott, and Ricky. We are all old and bitter, except for Ricky, who is our tech guru.
Just bitter here.
How's everybody doing? Scott, you doing good?
Doing well today. Ready to go.
Ricky, how we doing?
Well, I'm 6 foot above ground, so I'm doing all right.
Yeah. And Ricky, you know what? You can't eat... What was it? Soup off a plate?
You can't eat soup off a plate.
You can't eat soup off a plate. Hey, Ricky's got a whole bunch of these, and throughout all our episodes, you're going to start hearing these things. But hey, before we start, I know we were going to talk about social media and communication and all that stuff. I wanted to bring something up, and I brought it up a little bit yesterday, or a couple days ago when we were working out. I'm watching ESPN the other day. I flip on the channel, and they have air band competition. Guys standing there pretending to play a guitar in front of about 70 people. And then there's a guy who's, I guess, playing the music or whatever. And he's throwing stuff at him like dodgeballs and beach balls and whatever. And he even threw a pair of underwear. And the one guy caught it with his teeth. And that's when my wife walked in. We both kind of looked at it. And she's like, "What are you watching?" I go, "I don't know what's happened to our society. We have air band competition." I get the whole cornhole, the axe throwing, all that other stuff. But then like a couple weeks ago, I'm watching pillow fighting. So in the past couple weeks, I've seen pillow fighting and this airband thing on ESPN. And I love ESPN to death, but at what point do those become sports?
What was this actually mainstream ESPN, or is this like the Ocho?
No, this was mainstream ESPN. And I'm just sitting there watching it and going, I love ESPN. I watched it since day one. And it's just like some of the stuff, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it as to think, all right, we're watching pillow fighting on ESPN. Apparently it's a sport now. I think they only go 2 rounds. I'm not 100% sure. But that, and then watching this guy, and the announcers, oh, he was 2010 world champion. I'm like, you're the world champion of airband, playing a guitar, but you're not really playing a guitar. So where are we going? What has happened to our world? I mean, somebody say something, because I'm like lost for words.
So that movie Tag that was out?
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie. But do you remember all the ESPN, the tag competitions? They had people come in and...
That's right, they did.
It was eating right off of what they saw in mainstream society.
Yeah. I mean, I think the deal is, John, they need views, right? So they're probably not, they need growth, and they measure growth on those channels by how many views they get. And unfortunately, they're having to stoop to, less quality programming probably to gain those views. If you can make a spectacle, people will watch it. And that's what they've turned to. And
I'm not knocking the guy if that's what you want to do, but I mean, it's just like, you just be walking down, say, "Hey, what are you?" "I'm the world pillow fighting champion."
Yeah. Well, what time of day was this?
It was like 7, 8 o'clock at night. Prime time.
Yeah. And there's no basketball. There's no football. I guess baseball. When's the last time you sat and watched a baseball game?
Well, then they need to get some more WNBA games, because I watch a ton of those, and those girls can hoop, and I want to see more of those games.
Indiana Fever. Shout out to the Fever, winning the Commissioner's Cup yesterday.
Paige Becker's killing it for the Dallas Wings. I mean, it goes on and on and on. It's. I'm so proud of what the league has done and everything else that's going with it. It's been great for basketball. It's been great for women's sports, and it's been great for for everybody. It's a great game, and the girls put on a great show just like the guys do.
So, what non-mainstream sport do you like the best on TV?
I don't know. I mean,
have you ever tried axe throwing?
No, I have no desire to throw an axe.
There's warehouses in every major city and they mix beer with it. That seems logical.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
With axes and beer?
Yeah.
I mean, that's way back from the Vikings, isn't it?
Well,
isn't that what the Vikings did?
Place in town where it's combination football and bowling. And apparently it's done really, really well. It's like, the only difference is you take a football and you try to knock down pins. And again, you drink. So it makes it more fun when you're out there able to drink and plays those types of games. But I just wanted to see if you guys had ever seen something like that, because that just kind of threw me for a loop that, I'm sitting there watching Pillow Fighting and Air Band within a 2 weeks time, and just kind of threw me for a loop.
Now, I did see air guitar competitions and air band competitions, but that was back in like the early 2000s, and that was on like MTV or MTV2 and VH1. And it kind of made sense there. Those were music channels, and so they were trying to find something fun to do with the music kind of thing, right? But not on ESPN. No, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
I mean, I remember when I was in college, we competed in it, we used to call it air band, and then it went into lip syncing, whatever. But there was 5 of us. We lived in a house, and we were up at Eastern Washington University, and we did this. We signed up for the air band competition. We came out and did Bob Seger Old Time Rock and Roll. I had a roommate who looked real similar to Tom Cruise. We dressed up in white socks, our underwear, and pink button-down shirts, and just slid out there, and we played, and we got like second or third, but we had so much fun. But it's like you said, it's changed so much, and it just, because they even had that show where the lip sync battle or whatever, which was fun to watch, where they had the celebrities on there, and they sing those songs and all that stuff. But to just see one guy out there pretending to play a guitar, I kind of lost my wits on that one.
Well, and how do you even judge that? By technique or by anything else other than just,
Well, here's an example. So
it's subjective, isn't it?
For those of you who don't know, Ricky is a star in the making. He's got an incredible voice.
Not at all.
Eventually, you're going to start hearing a lot of his songs on our podcast. But so here's the thing. You're a musician. You play guitar. When you see that and you're like, okay, what goes through your mind? Are you like, what am I watching here? Why don't you play a real guitar?
Well, I don't know what they're judging. If it's how accurately they're conveying playing an instrument, but like imaginarily, well, that's one thing. But are they doing energy? What are they? I mean, I don't know what their metrics are for judging the competition. And so how do you win it?
Like Guitar Hero, you can tell who's hitting what note.
Exactly.
Yeah, but this is the guy was just literally just jumping him. He was dressed like a 1980s rocker. Well, the guy that I saw, and he's just, he's got the headband on, the red leather suit, and then, like I said, they're throwing stuff at him. It wasn't like people, they were just like someone who's with him throwing stuff at him. And I'm just sitting there watching this going, you got to be kidding me. Either I became very, very old and bitter watching that show, because I was just like, this is ridiculous. I cannot believe I'm sitting here watching this.
Was this an entire band or just an individual?
No, it's one dude. He just comes out there and he's
so no drummer in the background.
No, and I'm like, so what's next? Hey, it's the World Harmonica Air Band playing. Hey, check them out. It's like what Ricky just said. What do you base the judging on? Is it he looks like he's really playing or he's having fun? But again, if that's what makes him happy, hey, it makes him happy. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
just not my cup of tea.
Well, thank you, Wayne's World, though. That's a lot of that came out after Wayne's World.
It did, but again, that was back, not back in the day, but times have changed.
Yep.
But they were just having fun and making parody of things at that point, and now, unfortunately, here it is. We're actually giving prizes, I'm sure, for this stuff.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, well, to be a world champion. I'm the world champion airband.
Yeah.
Hey, what was the winning song, by the way? What was he playing?
I couldn't get through. I changed the channel because I couldn't watch it. It was too much. When your wife comes out and you go, hey, honey, look at this. And she goes, what is this? And then she turns around and leaves. You knew right then and there I had to change it.
I bet it was Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
She's everywhere these days.
So, here's another thing. So yesterday I'm leaving the gym. And I'm driving, this car passes me and then kind of like, not really cuts me off, but gets in my lane and then swerves over to the other side, and I'm watching them going back and forth. And I'm sitting there, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves, is that I pull up next to him, and young girl, probably maybe early 20s, wasn't even paying attention to the road, just sitting there on that dang phone, texting. And I so wanted to pull up next to her and honk my horn and go, hey, you know what? I guarantee you 100% that your life is a hell of a lot more important than what's on that phone.
Yeah.
And we talked about, we were going to get into the social media aspect and all that other stuff. A lot of states, like I know, like Illinois it's a hands-free. I mean, I think it's hands-free where you can't have your phone. I thought Dallas was. I don't know if they enforce it or not. I'm not 100% sure if it is or not.
I think Georgia is too.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
But it gets to the point where it's just like, nothing is going to be important as your life.
But you pull up next to her and you honk at her, and then she has an accident, and now you're liable.
Well, that's why I didn't do it. That's why I didn't do it. But we ended last week's show on the thing of just about the lack of communications, not being able to communicate, how kids have changed so much, and their ability to just surround themselves in their phone. Are we heading down a dead end with this? Is this something that you think it's going to get better as they get older, or do you think it's just going to get worse?
I think it's going to ebb and flow. I really do. I think it's always going to be there. I think the genie's out of the bottle. It's always going to be here. But I think if you look at generations and patterns of generations, let's look at the baby boomers, right? They grew up, their parents were really traditional, and then they grew up and they rebelled, right? You had the sexual revolution, the whole thing. Why? Because they were raised in a very conservative type manner.
Tight structure.
Yeah. Well, then you had the kids of that generation, and they saw how their parents were. And while the genie was already out of the bottle with regards to the sexual revolution and everything else, they were more conservative than the generation that preceded them. So
was it Barbara Eden who came out of the bottle? For those of you young people who don't know, that was I Dream a Genie.
We know she did at some point, right? Every episode.
Exactly.
But I think there's going to be a course correction. I don't think there will ever be a return to the norms that we had previously, but I do think that this generation, which is so inundated with social media and with their phones and with mobiles and everything else, I think we're going to start to see the ramifications of that in the generation that they raise, and they're going to take a more moderate approach to that because it's just so rampant at the moment.
Yeah, it's like we talked about it last week. People bringing their phones into the gym to videotape themselves, but it's even just to bring their phones because they're talking to people during their workouts, and it's just I'm just confused and extremely old and bitter about it. But it's just like one of those things where you sit there and it's like people, they don't know how to communicate because they don't know how to, they sit there and they spend all their time on their devices. And it's just like, right. My God, what are you going to do in the real world when someone asks you a question? Well, I'll Google it and then I'll send it to you or I'll do this or I'll do that. But it's just like, even like kids today, it's just like, they don't know how to communicate, Yeah. Being a teacher, I see kids where they're playing and one gets hurt but my God, they don't know how to say they're sorry. Right. You might get 1 out of 10 kids who will walk over and say, hey, sorry, I knocked you down, or sorry, I hit you in the face. But now what it is everybody laughs, and that person either gets, is fine or gets upset and gets hurt and starts crying, whatever. But having to tell so many kids, you need to go and apologize. And then when they walk over, they don't make eye contact. They look down at their shoes and go, sorry, and then they walk off and they're, oh, that's fine. I'm like, no, it's not fine. You need to converse. You need to make sure that person is okay. So at what point in time, when did all of a sudden that stop? That's my question. When did it stop where people, it's just like, hey, I'm not going to lend a hand or I'm not going to say sorry. I'm just going to sit there and just do nothing about it.
Did you guys grow up around anybody whose parents really wanted the yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, that kind of respect from their kids when they're talking in public?
Yes, sir.
100%. Hey, when we answered the phone when I was a kid, my mom, it always had to be Anthony residence. Who's calling, please? Exactly. Not hey, not hello. 100% you had to say that. Otherwise, you were getting grounded.
But there was a protocol, and you were taught it. Your mom taught you that.
100%.
Yeah. That's where the breakdown is.
I think
it goes to home.
They taught the art of respect. Mm-hmm. And we don't do that anymore.
The art of communicating, the art of holding the door open for someone.
Do you think today the parents today, the younger parents today, are more wanting to be their kid's friend rather than their parent?
Yes, I think that's part of it, but I also think the parents are just as much inundated in the mobile type of thing going on right now as their kids are. I think the answer to everything is just shove a screen in front of their face. And so I think people are now being more influenced by the world than we've ever been at any time in history. Because, I mean, just think, even before the rise of not just cell phones, but like even the internet, right? Something could happen over another country and you wouldn't hear about it for like a week. And now, I mean, you can go and watch something happen in real time. You know, as one country is attacking another one, you can go on Twitter and follow a few people who are over in whatever country, like when Iran and Israel were doing their thing, right? You could go and you could watch some of these accounts, and they would post second by second updates. Hey, another missile just came in. Another one just came in. Oh, another one. Oh, they just shot some missiles over there from Iran to Israel. They'll be here in 12 minutes. And they'd show a map as to where they're about to land. And then they'd send a video of like the interceptions and the whole thing. You could watch it in real time. And so just the massive amount of information that we're taking in and being impacted by is just insurmountable compared to what we used to be. Used to, your pastime was throwing your kid in front of the Sunday cartoons, man.
Yeah.
Or go read a book, or go outside and play with the sticks, or, run around the yard, or drink water out of the hose, or go find your friends. Go get out of here, right? Get out of here and go and experience life. And instead, what we're trying to do is capture life in a bottle and then condense it and then give that to the kids.
And when you say our parents wanting to be more their friend, I think the parents that are involved sometimes are scared and they don't want to push their kids too hard. They're scared of mental health. They're scared of all these other things and they don't want to push the kids away. So it's more like, let's give them something they want and not really discuss the rules and everything that go along with that. Accountability, all those things.
I think the thing that kind of just pushes me over is just like, when I'm old. I was born in 1964. So growing up as a kid, I was very OCD. I said very ADHD, but you never knew anything about that. There was no OCD. You didn't go, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Anthony, your son has OCD. It's just like, I thought I was weird because it's just like when I closed the door, I had to like close it 4 times or whatever, or I had to go back and check it 10 times because I'm like going, and then and then my sister was the same way. We're both like sitting there, like my number was always 4, her was like 7. So it's like I had to check it 4. But growing up, I was like, man, there's something wrong with me. But there's never, there's no, hey, you have OCD or or ADHD. If I, saw a word and I couldn't pronounce it or I looked at it, it looked differently. And then now all of a sudden you've got all this stuff that's taking place. You got all these, my child has OCD. I'm ADHD. I'm this, I'm that.
But, and I'm going to, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely.
I'm going to stop you right there. I think that's the problem, is not that a diagnosis should help you understand more about how you operate rather than become your identity. And when you say, correct, I am this or I am that, then we personify that disorder rather than I am afflicted with.
Right.
Or part of who I am is this. This is part of how I operate. This is part of, just like if you had your leg cut off, you're still a human and you still get around. And I know plenty of people who don't have a leg that don't let that affect them and their abilities in anything else. They have a prosthetic that helps them get around. So I know lots of people who are handicapped in that way, but they're still able to live life, a full life, but they don't let that disability define them.
Right.
And I think the problem is we're letting all these mental disorders and everything define them and say, oh, I can't do this because I am this.
But also when you think about all this communication, you have kids now going to the internet and diagnosing themselves.
Yep.
Instead of talking to a professional or whatever.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then feeling like they've got to fit in this bucket or that bucket and they got to act a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they start
you've got on the internet.
Talking to these friends who live 3,000 miles on the opposite coast, telling them, oh yeah, that happened to me and this is what you need to do.
Right.
And they'll pay attention to what another 14-year-old's telling them as opposed to an adult.
I think the thing that I struggle with just with our society today is that it's just like you said, back in the day, baby, you went outside and you played.
Yeah.
I mean, you went outside. I mean, I remember like
sun up to sundown.
We'd go outside and mom, you go in for dinner. Mom would call you in for dinner. You'd go in for dinner, and then you come back out and you play until it got dark. And then it's just like, it was always, if your mom said your name once, it was okay. But if my mom ever said my middle name, I was in trouble. If it was like, John, come in, okay, be there in 10 minutes, and then she comes back out, John David, oh crap, I gotta go because I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get grounded or something's gonna happen to me. But it's like you don't even see kids playing outside anymore. We had some neighbors across the way over here, and every Saturday I would drive by, going to a game or something for work, and I would see these kids outside playing football, playing basketball, playing baseball, and it always brought a smile to me because I'm like going, oh my gosh, here's kids who are just being kids and having fun, and they're not swallowed up in their phones, they're not swallowed up in their their computers. They're actually doing stuff that kids should be doing. And
right.
It's just like, it's like people today, it's just like they can't pull themselves away from their devices and all this other stuff. And it's like, and I get it. It's, everybody's on the phone. I'm on my phone, whatever. But it's still the point. It's like, if it came down to something, I know how to converse. I know how to communicate. I know how to tell someone I'm sorry or hello or good morning, or I can go hold the door for someone. I did a little thing from one of my classes where I told the kids, I said, homework is this. I said, I want you to, if you're out with your parents, and I said, I want you to hold the door for someone you don't know. And they're like, what? I said, no. I said, just hold the door and see if anybody says anything. And I probably had like, out of my class of about 20 something kids, I probably think maybe like 6 or 7 kids actually did the thing.
Yeah.
And one of the kids said, he's just like, Coach, it was really weird because I held the door, and they said thank you. And then another student's like, well, I held the door, and they just walked right in and said nothing. And I said, how did that make you feel? And they say, well, it didn't really bother me. I'm just like, but wouldn't you want to say thank you? I go, exactly. Wouldn't you want to say thank you? Yeah. And I said, here's another one. Try this one. I said, when they walk by, if they're far away, hold that door for them. So by the time they walk up, they have to say, and one of the kids did it, and they're like, Coach, oh my gosh, that lady was so happy that I held the door. She goes, oh, you're such a sweet kid, blah, blah, blah. That's so surprising that you would do that for me. And I said, how did that make you feel? She goes, it made me feel good because I did something nice for somebody.
Right.
And it's just like, but that's all the chivalry and all that other stuff. It's like, it's gone away. It's just like, what's happening to our world.
So I wonder when they don't do that, if they even realize it. They don't even realize they're not doing it.
They don't. And I think, again, I hate to really tie everything back to social media and mobile devices, but that's really been the big change and the big, a rock in the pond, if you will, that's caused the ripple, I think, from about 2007 onward. So I ride a motorcycle a lot, and I was watching a video one day, and it was talking about motorcycles versus cars. There's this mentality of, people in cars, they call them cagers because they're in a cage on the road or whatever. And it was referring to road rage. And why is it so easy for us to get angry at people that we don't even know that are in cars doing something that we don't like? I mean, we don't know what's going on in that car. And I think every single one of us has been susceptible to road rage at some point or another. I mean, I know I have, the lights changed. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. What are you doing? Come on, Let's get on. The thing is, the car takes away the human element, because you can't put a face to it. And the keyboards and the screens take away the human element, and so you can't put a face to it. And so when that's what you've learned as your main means of communication with others, then that doesn't translate well into the real world when you can put a face to it. When they can put a face to something, they don't know what the heck to do because they haven't been trained for that. Again, we've lost the art of respect because everything that we're training our kids now on how to communicate with people through devices rather than in real world, face to face, which is the way that we used to.
Yeah.
And that's so important. And I hate to say it, that used to be taught in homes, but maybe it needs to be taught in schools now.
So we've all mentioned schools before. We all work at the same school. We even do things like, you see kids coming down the hall, and it's almost like they keep their eyes focused on the floor and push over to the other side of the hallway. And if I don't make eye contact, they'll act like I'm not here or whatever. And, we go out of our way to say, hey, how are you? Good morning. And just try to get a response from them. And it's painful for some of these kids to pick up their head, look at you and say hello.
It's funny because like a lot of times when I'm at the gym and the kids are coming in and I'll be the same thing. It's like morning, and they don't say anything. Then I'll be, hey, I'm fine, thanks for asking. And then sometimes the kids will just either keep walking or they'll stop and they'll look and maybe give me a smile or something. But it's just like they don't. It's like they're afraid to say something, and it's just like, I mean. Growing up as a kid, when if a teacher said something to you in the hallway, hello, or you make eye contact with them to say hello first, and it's just like that is just so by the wayside right now.
Absolutely,
it's gone.
Yeah,
I think the whole risk taking is kind of gone with kids too.
Yeah, that's also been a side effect.
Out there, they don't want to,
Whatever you do, it's out there and it's out there forever. You can't take it back. You can't get it back. Somebody got a screenshot or a screen recording or something. There's no risk involved at all. And they're too, they're risk averse and they're also struggle averse, which is really a bad thing when you think about it, because you can't grow unless you struggle. When a caterpillar becomes a butterfly and it comes out of the cocoon, it's imperative that it struggles as it gets out of the cocoon. It's extremely hard for it to come out, but as it's squeezing itself out of that small hole, it's pushing all of the fluid into the wings, and it won't be able to fly unless it does that. So it will never fly as a butterfly unless it literally struggles for its life to get out of that cocoon. Much like humans. We have to struggle in order to grow. And we're raising a generation that is so averse to it because we just babysit them with screens.
Well, yeah, it's like, well, and they expect everything. It's not, it's a question. It's just
instant gratification.
I mean, hey, you gave me this grade. I didn't give you this grade. You earned this grade. Hey, well, I didn't get this job. Oh, they didn't give me this job. I'm going to tell my mom. What are they going to bring your mom to work and go, hey, you know what? You didn't hire my son. Yeah, I'm sorry. He wasn't qualified. Well, no, you need to hire him. That's everything is just, coaches deal with it, playing time issue. Hey, it's not a question of, I'm always honest. You know what? Your kid hasn't shown up to any practices. How can he play in front of someone who's going to play?
Right.
Well, he's the best kid on your team. Well, you think that.
Yeah.
But even if he is, he's not meeting the requirements everybody else is. So he can just, because he's the best, he doesn't have to come to practice.
Right.
Or they get upset when they don't play. And I'm like, it's the whole, it's like, and I hate to say it, but it's like, so many people, they're living in this bubble. It's like, it's all about just being protected. And it's like, I'm going to do whatever I can. It's only about me.
Yep.
It's about my kids and that's it. And I'm not going to worry about anybody else because the whole thing is I've just got to protect myself rather than why not be a person who's going to be there for everybody, and help everybody and do the things that you're supposed to. That's the stuff that just blows me away, where it's like, you see like an old lady pushing her cart and it's like, even my wife will stop and go, hey, ma'am, do you need help? And other people sit there and watch it, or, watch her struggle or any of this stuff. It's like, where the kindness in our society, the giving, the respect, all this stuff, I feel like it's gone so by the wayside and it's just like pushed away. And it's the whole social media aspect. It's like, hey, rather than stop a fight, let's just film it.
Yeah.
And let's put it on there. Hey, you know what? Rather than tell those people, hey, let's stop arguing. Let's just film it. Oh, wait, that policeman's running down somebody and he needs help. Oh, no, let's just film it.
Yeah, we don't need to get involved.
No, it's just like, what's happening? I always tell my wife, so when it's time to retire, we're going to go up and live in a mountain in the woods.
Hey, easy times breed weak men. That's what I've heard. And here we are. We're in the easiest times that we have ever had. You don't have to fight for food. Everything can be delivered to you in a moment's notice on an app. You have instant gratification for everything. You want to watch something, you can watch it on demand. You don't have to wait for it to show up anymore on TV for it to air. You can just go and watch it, and you can rewatch it as many times as you want. I remember way back in the day when if I wanted to listen to music, I had to go buy the entire album and I'd go find it, had to go work for it, mow some grasses or whatever else, and earn my allowance and then go and buy the CD and then I could listen to it at home. And now you pull out your phone and stream it.
And see, this is where he's old, but he's not as old as Scott and I, because when I would buy music, I had to buy a cassette or an 8-track.
Yeah, I had cassettes too.
And an 8-track looked like a giant piece of French toast that you just put in there, and you had like 4 little buttons on your 8-track player, and then the cassettes came out, and it was always like Columbia House. You could buy one tape, you get like buy one, get 12 free, and then you had to buy...
Yeah, it was a penny.
Yeah, exactly. And then you had to buy them like...
BMG,
each month they would send you one, and you had to pay the regular price for that, whatever. But it was still a good deal. I mean, I remember having just walls of cassettes and everything, but it's...
And then when they went to CDs, you had to take the whole magazine part of the CD out and unfold it, and then you could get to the lyrics.
Exactly. I just think we're in a society now where it's so much more about not what I can do to help, what I can do to just... almost just like capture it, and take the photos and take the pictures and not, it's just, I mean, there's, and I hate to say this too, but it's just like, there's just so much built up hate and anger and frustration.
What can we be outraged about?
Yeah. And it's just like, why do we have to, why can't we just be happy for people, who maybe you don't even know, oh, I hate that person. Why? Because they did this or they achieved this and it's something that you didn't achieve, or maybe you're not even interested, but because, news is putting them on. It's just, you sit there and you watch someone like Caitlin Clark and they sit there and then people will start to bat. She's been great for the WNBA. Every girl who's playing in the WNBA has been great for the WNBA. But again, it's just like people will just say negative stuff just to say, you don't even know her.
Right.
You have no, same thing with Angel Reese. You don't know Angel Reese. She's a great basketball player. She's out doing her thing, but it's just like people will post stuff or they'll say stuff. And it's just the negativity where it's just like, growing up as a kid, in the early 70s, it wasn't like that, Well,
I mean, there again, that negativity you're referring to, taking it back to the road rage thing. It's so easy for a weekend keyboard warrior to get on there and just post whatever the heck they want just to get a reaction out of people. I mean, it's fun to just post horrible, terrible things about somebody just to get a reaction.
Yeah. Trolling
people. I mean, that's what they call it, internet trolls.
Yeah.
And they don't care. And you can develop an opinion about somebody because, for all intents and purposes, to you, they're not real. They're not right there in front of you. Kind of like the road rage thing. Somebody cuts you off in front of traffic. You get mad and upset at them. Really, you're mad at the object that's in front of you. You've dehumanized it because you're mad at the car. You're not actually mad at the person in the car. You're mad at the car and what the car
I'd probably
did.
be mad at the person.
And those people aren't looking for a conversation, though.
No.
It's one-way communication. They're just saying, they're just wanting to get their point out. And if you were to stop at a light and go back and talk to the person who just flipped you off and everything else, they'd roll the window up and they wouldn't even talk to you.
Well, it's all about me, right? It's the me generation.
Exactly. They don't want a mentality.
There's a reason there's a camera on the front of your phone, my friend. And that's the one that's probably most used, even though the best one is on the back.
Yeah. It's just, so the question is, where are we going? I mean, that's the thing. Where are we going as a society? Because, at some point, I got to think we've got to be able to, we've got to turn this stuff around.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to have any type of, I don't know, we say not type of life, but any type of just positiveness in our world, because it's just, it's just everything, you watch the news and everything is negative. Oh, after we told you all about this horrible stuff, we're going to end on a good note. Roxy, the German Shepherd, was adopted.
And it's a 35-second clip.
Yeah, if that.
So I'm going to look up something because there's an experiment. It's like it's a mouse utopia experiment. I'm going to read this real quick. So in the 1970s, John B. Calhoun conducted a series of experiments called Universe 25 to explore what would happen to society with all of its needs met. The most well-known experiment involved placing 4 healthy breeding pairs of mice in a 9 square foot enclosure designed to be a rodent utopia. The utopia had unlimited food, water, mini nesting supplies, and multiple apartments, so plenty of living space. The only limited resource was space, and here's what happened. So, in essence, what ended up happening is the population doubled every 55 days, peaking at 2,200 mice in the 19th month. With low infant mortality, there was more young mice than normal, leading to a social problem. Dominant males fought to control females, but losing mice couldn't escape and became dropouts, who gathered in the center. The population slowly but irreversibly declined with a 100% mortality rate. Basically, they had a collapse of society because society got too easy to live. So I find ourselves in a very similar circumstance. It's really easy to just go to the grocery store and buy whatever the heck you want. You don't have to go forage for food anymore.
Well, you don't have to go to the grocery store. You can do everything from home.
There you go. Even better, even more, right? And same thing with TV and entertainment and water. All of your basic life needs are met. You don't have to worry about anything. I mean, I think we're kind of looking at the human version of this utopia, but we've built this. And that's based on survival, right? I mean, all of our survival instincts are to make it to where life is easier to live. We want to make sure we have enough food. We want to make sure we have enough water, enough living space, and everything else. And we want to make all that more efficient. And we've done such a dadgum good job of it that now we're looking at the ramifications of those actions. You have to have struggle in order to grow.
Why do you think parents, when you talk about struggle, don't want to see their kids fail? And by failure, it can be something from a grade to not making the team, to not having playing time,
because we have put a negative connotation on failure rather than failure being used as a learning tool.
But these formative years are the time that you shape that and you build from it. And you get perseverance and the drive and the motivation, and that can be safely done as a youngster growing up instead of someone who's had
just
everything
like these mental disorders though that we have. Like I am ADHD. Well, when you talk about failure, if you failed, well then all of a sudden these people personify it and then I am a failure rather than I did not get the netted results I wanted.
If you didn't get something you wanted though, your parents didn't call you a failure. They worked through it with you. Did you ever get cut from a team, John?
Yeah, and the whole
thing was... Did your dad laugh at you and tell you were a failure?
And that's the thing. Like, back in the day when I was a kid, it's just like, actually, I take that... I mean, in all honesty, I never... Well, I didn't get cut until
I got cut from 8th grade basketball.
The only time I got cut was in my junior year in high school. I tried out for the basketball team and didn't make it. But up until then, the teams, I even made a select team when I was in 4th grade in California. My dad had me try out. I made this team, and it was like 4th through 7th grade or 4th through 6th grade kids. Kids were bigger than me. I played very, very little, and I wanted to quit. I said, Dad, I'm not playing. I'm quitting. He goes, you're not quitting. He goes, you started something. You're going to finish it.
Absolutely.
Nowadays, it's, I'm quitting. Okay, well, you didn't play. We're going to quit. And
the parents are leading the charge for quitting.
Exactly. And so, and then I played one game and I'm driving home. I didn't score. So I was like bummed. I didn't score a basket. I'm driving home. I'll never forget. My dad goes, that's the best game I've ever seen you play. And I'm like, what are you, in my mind, I'm like, Dad, did you even watch the game? I didn't even score. And of course, 4th grade, I'm like crying on the way home. He's like, why are you upset? I go, well, I didn't score. Because it's not about scoring. And we had this conversation, and he's teaching you a life lesson. Hey, what? Just because you don't score doesn't mean you didn't play well. Just because you played 2 minutes rather than 30 minutes doesn't mean you played bad or you're awful. You have to work to get better. And it's just like you said, Ricky, you're going to have to fail and pick yourself back up rather than, hey, you know what? Here's and this brings me to a whole nother thing. You look at these college kids, okay, with this NIL stuff, which is fine. I don't have a problem with it. But you get these kids who are leaving because, hey, you know what? I'm a freshman and I didn't play, so I'm going to go somewhere else. Rather than, hey, I'm going to work my tail off and try to make it, and then play for the people who recruited me. But it's just it's always, if I don't get my way, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Like, here's it with the NIL issue. Okay, hey, wait. I'm at Oregon State. You're going to give me $1 million to play football? Okay, I play. Oh, I'm a sophomore now. You're going to give me another $1 million? Well, no. Ohio State's going to give you $3 million. Well, I'm out of here. It's like these kids are making so much money to play college sports, and I look at it as, well, wait a minute. I understand you want to get paid, all that other stuff, because of all the money it brings in, but aren't you technically getting paid if you're getting a scholarship? I mean, the normal person would have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college.
Right.
Okay, so if you're getting that free, you're kind of getting rewarded for being a scholarship player and getting being an athlete and getting a free scholarship to go out there. But it's completely changed, and these kids are making, all this money. I'm not against it. It's just like, it's where are our priorities? When is it going to be, hey, it doesn't have to be, I didn't get my way, I've got to quit. Or I don't get my way, I'm going to leave. I'm going to move. I'm going to do this. Scott said, you're going to be a failure. My parents never told me, hey, you failed, you lost. It's just like, if you want something, you got to work towards it. Doesn't mean you're going to get it.
That's right.
It doesn't mean every time it's the bell's always going to ring. Hey, you won again. Hey, you won again. Hey, you got this. Hey, you got this. Hey, you got that. No, it doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. But our society today teaches our kids that, hey, if you don't get what you want,
go somewhere else.
Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that you get it, because there's not one parent that does not want their kid to be happy.
Right.
I mean, but my whole thing growing up as a kid, it's just like, when I graduated high school in 1982, my dad gave me $500.
You are old.
I am very old. He gave me $500 as a graduation gift. Now, back then, I'm like going, oh my God, this is awesome. $500. I'm going to go to the mall. I'm going to buy this Fisher this stereo with a cassette deck and 2 big speakers and all this stuff. And my dad goes, is that what you really want? And I go, yeah. I said, he goes, what about if you put it down payment on a car? And I'm like, oh, okay.
Sounds boring.
So I get a car. But then what he taught me is that now I got to get a job. Okay. And I got to work.
Right.
And I got to pay for that car. Now, granted, it wasn't a lot. I had a 1978 Chevy Monza 4-speed, greatest car I ever had. After you go about 70 miles an hour, the car starts shaking. I didn't care. It was a great ride. My car payments were $89 a month. But the fact that I had to work, and the fact that I had to use my money to pay for the car that I was driving.
Yes, sir.
You appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'm washing it.
Skin in the game.
Yes. I'm putting my own gas money. Hey, my friends were going out. All right, it was $2. Everybody bring me $2 for gas. I mean, $8 would fill your tank up back then.
Yes, sir.
All this stuff. And now it's like, that doesn't happen anymore. It's just like, hey, got my daughter a BMW. Oh, she wrecked it. I got her another one. I had a friend in high school. Another friend of mine, Bob Cooper, lived up the street. Same thing. He went out and bought a Toyota Celica, took care of it. I mean, we'd wash our cars, we'd armor all this stuff, whatever, make it look nice. We had another friend, got a car, wrecked it. Dad got him another car, wrecked it. Got him a third car. Had it. So it's just like, he didn't understand the value of how important it was to take care of things that you're putting your hard-earned effort into. It's like, well, my dad will just buy me something else. My dad will get me something else. And both my parents and Bob's parents were just like, hey, we want you to have nice things. We're not going to give them to you. You got to work towards them.
Absolutely.
And appreciate what you do to take care of those things. And that's where I think, we've kind of lost it in society. It's like, why should a 9-year-old kid be walking around with an iPhone 16? Who are they calling? I mean, who are they calling? I'm going to call all my friends. You mean to tell me all your friends that are 10 have iPhone 16s? I don't even have an iPhone 16. But it's just like, or they lose it and they go, oh, my dad got me another one. My mom got me another one. Rather than, and then you have some parents where the kid's like, well, what would your parents say? My parents said, if I want another one, I got to buy my own. Which, hey, yeah, you know what? Because they want you to learn about the value of appreciation.
Well, it's been a slippery slope, and throughout, our society for years, man. I mean, we started that with people, John. We did. We started that with people first, and then it got to things. Because, I mean, you look at it and... What is the success rate of all the marriages? I think it's like 60 or 70% a divorce.
That
right?
get divorced?
Is it 61%? Is it 61% of all first-time marriages into divorce? Something like that. It's over 50% now. I do know that. And I think it goes up to like 70%. But it started there, and then you've got all these parents who didn't value people first, and now they don't value things. And so now we're just, in general, we're starting to devalue life as a whole.
And all of that goes back to communication. Actually sitting down and actively listening to the other person.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that's crazy to think. 61% of the people who get married today end up in divorce.
And that's just what I remember off the top of my head. I could be wrong. It's somewhere around that. So for whoever's listening, I don't know that that's the exact statistic, but it's in the 60th percentile. I know that.
Wow.
It's over 50%.
I mean, I'm married and divorced, so I can't. I'm that 61%.
And I am too. I mean, I sure am.
That's wild. Wild to think that's kind of where we are in our society today. Because back, again, growing up as a kid, you never heard of divorce. It was like if someone got divorced, there's like one person in your neighborhood, you thought, oh my gosh, they're terrible people.
Oh, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm going to correct this. 42% of first marriages end in divorce.
Oh, I don't feel so bad then.
I was wrong. It's the rate increases to 60 to 67% for second and 73 for third.
Hear that, honey? We got a 67% chance of not making it. But we will, because I love my wife.
Of course.
So, wow.
But you need more than love, John.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And you know what? We're gonna end it right there on that. And I think next week we're gonna be talking about relationships. And trust me, we're gonna get all ages. And on top of that, we might even have a special guest. So you're gonna have to just come back to Old and Bitter and check out who it might be. So for Scott and Ricky, I'm John.
Parents, let your kids fail.
Saying thanks for watching Old and Bitter. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.